Cindy Tanartah is the mastermind behind ANDSEE, a brand that creates mismatched dream earrings and a wearable art from polymer clay, highly focused on detail. Born and raised in Indonesia, Cindy's heritage and culture have been a major source of inspiration for her work. Join me in this engaging conversation where I talk with Cindy about her business, cultural aspects, community, and her dreams. My name is Lucy, and this is your Polymer Week podcast. Hello, Cindy. Welcome to the Polymer Week podcast.
Thank you for welcoming me.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Just finished my my orders online because I'm crafting all week, and I just finished my last week's market. So I did an offline market in Indonesia. So it was kind of crazy and kind of gathering my spirit back to just craft again. And here I am, meeting you.
Beautiful. It's a pleasure to meet you. And we should say that we connected through social media, which is a beautiful way in this era that we can connect in this way. And, I fell in love with your artwork because it's very different than from what I have seen. So can you let us know a bit about your style and what is the base of your artwork?
So basically, I did so many variations at the beginning of my journey doing polymer clay work. But when I was the beginning of COVID season 2 years ago, I kind of innovate my way of doing polymer clay work, which is most of people around the world know that I'm doing mismatched dream earrings. So I did I was inspired about just traveling and the depth of traveling, the meaning of traveling, and then my travel series became popularly known, and I did because as you know, travel pieces or travel places around the world has so many intricacy in their designs, architecture, and all that. So basically, that's why I was kind of going with my details and my work, and that kind of got people literally know me as a maker.
And when it comes to your own culture and your own country, does it inspire you as well?
For sure. I haven't literally introduced a lot of the culture here, what are the places here in terms of travel pieces. But I'm excited to just introduce that in the future.
And are you originally from Indonesia?
Yes.
Is that correct?
I was born in Jakarta, Indonesia.
How is the polymer clay community there?
To be frankly honest, I can speak for all of the makers here in Indonesia. The polymer clay community here is still low, if I can say, because even the material itself, polymer clay, not many people know. For example, I just did this offline market, right? It's my first time doing an offline market, meeting people face to face and literally introducing polymer clay. And most of people, I think 90% of the people that came into my booth, for example, or meeting me in person, they didn't know about polymer clay at all. So the majority people would say that they never heard of polymer clay. So I felt as a polymer clay maker in Indonesia is still very low, and this is something that I really wanted to just advocate, and how literally how blessed I am to kind of encounter this material, because it's literally the best thing that happened to me, because I did pottery back then. It's a very natural clay from the earth, right? But this one is came out of nowhere from when I just I think I just saw from Pinterest or something like that, and then just because I just fell in love with the material, did so many trials and errors. But that's something that I've really wanted to just kind of introduce to people here, and making sure that they know how precious this material is, and how flexible, how colorful, how literally it can make little for me. It's something that Polymer Clay has been such a blessing into my life. So that's something that I've really wanted to do, like advocate in the future through my social media or things or other platforms. For example, like this, talking with you about Polymer Clay. So yeah, I think it's still a long way to go in Indonesia to like literally building the community well to introduce. So that's why in the future I really want to create like a community, or basically from doing like offline workshops, meeting a lot of people, things like that. So still like a long way to go here, but I'm excited though for that.
That's lovely. Yeah, you speak about working with polymer clay with sparks in your eyes, so that's definitely a beautiful thing to see. But do you still remember the very first day when you found the clay? And were you able to imagine all those possibilities that this clay offers?
Yeah. It was 2019 when I began to just like kind of knowing about this polymer clay, when I wanted to create a new product line. Uh, Literally just I spent months, I think 2 months, 3 months to just like research about this material. It's like something that I've never felt. So it was like it was just a match made in heaven. Like I don't know why, but I really love clay that much. When I just ordered this like bunch of clay and then just did my trials and errors in my like apartment studio, and then like I was kind of like like curious about this material. It's like getting to know someone, like it's step by step process. It didn't take me that slow to just like getting to know this material. It was just like went with the flow. At the beginning, my design wasn't like as intricate as you can see on my page, but I think it was kind of the process that I'm blast off, because I can get to know the material well, how I can literally my style, and also things that I love there. And polymer clay is just like I don't know how to say it, but it's just special for me.
And you said that you did some research. So am I, understanding correctly that after you found the clay and you did several attempts, then you started searching what the material can offer and what it can do?
Mm-hmm. I just basically I didn't even like joining like workshops or things like that, because we don't have it like the polymer clay community here, right? So I just did it by watching YouTube or like seeing a lot of polymer clay makers around the world who have done it earlier than me. And I just felt the need of like doing something crazy, because I'm just that crazy. I just love to create something out of the box. And then like I just did it by myself, just watching YouTube from every kind of like makers. Maybe if you know from the polymer clay community around the world, there are a lot of people who make such gorgeous jewelry or things like that, sculpture from polymer clay. It's just amazing to see that, and I've really wanted to just like aha moment, like I need to do something crazy like that, gorgeous like that, and then suddenly it came out like I need to do something about travel, or like about my movies, or movies that I love, or like the food that I love, things like that. So, but I kind of get that idea of mismatch, because in here in Indonesia, like most importantly, like yeah, I felt like we don't have the courage to like literally do something or innovate something. So I felt the need to just like create, why does earring needs to be like the same, like from both sides. So it's just kind of like the idea of me to create that. And suddenly like I just had the need to just like post it without any expectations, and people started to get the hang of it, like the idea of like this crazy idea of mine.
And it also not very common that the artist or someone who found the material would immediately do the research. So in your case, I believe that it helped you a lot because you started working with clay just a few years ago and you suddenly found your style. So what would be your advice to someone who is in the very same position? Right now found the clay and just wonders what to do, where direction she or he should go.
Basically, this one of the things that I've always kind of like advocate people, or uh, people who are still in the beginning stage of like starting to find their style or their signature work and things like that. It always has to come from your heart and what do you want to do, like what kind of like style that you want to people to see your art. And I think because in my case, I've always loved to just share everything that I love in terms of like things that I eat, things that I watch, because I love to watch movies or travel moments, like my favorite paintings, for example. So it's always basically from my childhood memories that that people see. And I think a lot of my clients and customers say that they can feel like my art, just seeing my art basically on social media. So that's kind of like the first thing that I kind of noticed, and I feel I'm grateful beyond words that people can see my art. But I think for beginners like who just knew about like polymer clay, you should not be afraid of like trying out things. If it doesn't work, at least you try, because polymer clay, it's limitless, you can make anything.
Yeah.
It's a little limitless. So if people ask me like, why do I make earrings? Why do I make this? I say back to them like, why not? So because in Indonesia, statement earrings like this are not uh still like the trend. It's still weird for especially women here, my age or even older. So I've kind of always like wanted to tell people, be weird, because people will recognize that and embrace that. So never stop finding your own style. I think you'll get it somehow if you never stop of doing, because that's what I did this past years doing polymer clay.
And speaking of the culture of your country, obviously my culture is different, your culture is different. So how it is for you to be an entrepreneur, a businesswoman, an artist altogether in your country and in your community, or perhaps in your family? What was the reaction?
Ooh, my parents were like, my parents were asking. It's always like the culture here. I think you have to like have the work of like, for example, like doctor, or like business, or like continuing my parents' business, for example. I think that was kind of the thought that my parents had for me, or things like that. But I've always had this like the one thing, to do something different.
The urge?
Yeah, the urge, to do something different. I was skeptical because when I was doing this, I still had my full-time job at the beginning of like COVID season, like 2 years ago. And then like when I kind of like do it at the same time, ANDSEE took off. I couldn't even like can handle like my full-time job at the time. So I kind of like took a leap of faith and just like I just like did it full time. And my parents were just like, suddenly I need to prove to them. I needed to prove to them, I can make a living out of this. And my parents' culture, like they're still skeptical about like doing art, like doing this art thing. Can you make money out of it? But after a year and a half, oh, I can make a living out of it. And besides that, I'm happy as an artist, as a human being, like doing this, because I've always had the thought in the beginning of like when I was still like 20 or 21, like I had this thinking like I need to do it before I regret it later when I'm getting older. So that was the kind of the thought that I see, and my parents like started to just like support me along the way, and I'm excited for everything that I'll do in the future. But I'm grateful for like the support that I've been given, my parents, my friends, everyone that I meet. So,
And is it a common thing for especially women to do something by yourself in Indonesia? Or as you said, parents and maybe the society as well would prefer if you became a doctor, a lawyer, and things like that?
it's not very common here. I think it depends on each each heritage, in Indonesia, because we're very diverse. For me, I come from a Chinese like poor family, so it used to very like very pressured of women here. Oh, okay, you don't have to like work that hard because you're going to get married or things like that. But you know what, like this is like 2000, so and my parents kind of like feel it too. Like I think in this era, like it's flexible, not right now, then in the like very early years, So I'm very grateful that I was born like I'm in this era, so I don't have to like kind of like, because I've seen, like I've heard a lot of experiences from my friends who wanted to do, for example, like wanted to do an art major, for example, because I couldn't even like get my major full in design or art, things like that. I had to do business too, like for my major. My parents didn't let me to just like do art as a major, so even like I had to do something related to business, so I could convince them, even though I'm doing this, I have the basic knowledge of like doing business and things like that.
Well, you are full of energy and passion for the material and your project as well. But can you imagine yourself in some sort of different reality that you would be the person married to someone without the ability to do something by yourself?
Yeah, I think I'm the type of person who gets bored easily. Your question was if I get married, right? For example, right? You say.
No, I mean, because you explained that there is a different part of Indonesia where it's more, I would say, expected that the woman marry someone. And in that case, she doesn't have to do that much. But that also means that she's losing some sort of part of herself.
Yeah, from my experiences meeting a lot of people with different backgrounds and personalities and marriage situations, for example, like in Indonesia, most of the time, because if I have a family, for sure, like I want to focus on my family. Family is number one for sure. But I think that's why I started really early, like I mean, like doing this full time, with ANDSEE, because for example, if I hit 30 later, I need to know like what my plan, for ANDSEE, for example. So because I'm planning to do this until I die, I think. And I want to introduce like literally Polymer clay with a lot of people in the future, So for me, I think women here need to have like something, that they want to do before they get married or they have a family, for sure. So they're not like, lost or get bored when they have like their kids already big or things like that. So I think that's kind of like my plan with ANDSEE, because I want to do this for the rest of my life. And there was already a fixed kind of like idea in my mind, doing polymer clay. So I'm not sure about like any other women or like artists, full-time artists in Indonesia. Maybe this is something that discussed with a lot of people. So I think it's hard, trying to figuring things out. But I think that was kind of like the process of me doing this for almost 3 years, doing polymer clay work. And I think because of just like my love, the material, and also with my brand, ANDSEE, it became clear, each day doing this. And I think figuring it out earlier in your career is a must, so you don't regret it later when you get old.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful. Can we reveal your age? Is it okay with you?
Yeah, I'm 29 this year.
29. Oh, that's great.
You look so young too, Lucy.
Yeah, I'm 24, so so it's cool. Yeah.
You're gorgeous.
Yeah, it's wonderful to speak with someone who is kind of a similar age.
Yeah,
So we have a lot in common, I believe. And when you speak about, the idea of having something early in your age, it kind of hits me because I found polymer clay when I was 11. So I spent my whole childhood in this community. It's kind of crazy. Like, I don't know anything else. I mean, like the business and everything out, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But as you said, like, it's something that I would love to die with because you plan to do it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And with the polymer clay being without any limits, it's very real possibility because there is a lot to explore.
For sure.
Yeah, it's cool.
For sure. What do you like make, basically? Because I know you just like being this amazing person, having this amazing page, Polymer Week. I've known Polymer Week since my early career, beginning like with polymer clay. So, do you make something too, like, or are you just like?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's actually a good question. Like, everything started for me with the material itself. But we, as you said, we were trying to build some sort of community, and we did the very first, let's say, event in the Czech Republic where we invited a lot of international teachers. And since that, like, we called the name Polymer Week because it was a full week of spending time with clayers, having classes, demonstration, and others. And for that occasion, we prepared the first issue of the magazine, just like a random gift to our attendees.
Yeah.
And suddenly the magazine itself became kind of a huge project. And it's true that I'm like divided. I'm divided in my own artwork, but that's not too much in the spotlight. And then you have the community, the business thing, the magazine publishing and product development. So it's definitely not that easy to, run both of them somehow and balance them so you still have your voice out there through your artwork, but also do something for others in terms of the community and magazine. So yeah, that's my story quickly.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, like it's always a struggle for every maker, being a full-time artist too. And I think I really salute you for that too. Like doing this like amazing community because, I hope in Indonesia, like we can have this amazing community of polymer clay who can like literally merge everyone talking about polymer clay because polymer clay is just an amazing material that people should know. And that's kind of like the things that I want to do, in the future. So yeah.
Building the community, it's a beautiful thing. Especially like the connection, like I can get to know you, I can get to meet you in this way and others. So that's beautiful, but also it brings some sort of, let's say, responsibility because suddenly it's not just you and your schedule and your time and artwork, but suddenly you need to figure out how to connect it all together.
Yes.
And I'm not in that by myself. I had a beautiful team around, but it's still, I'm still the one who needs to do most of the things, and I'm trying to figure out how to not do that so I can spends time by claying more and exploring the material.
Yeah.
So yeah, it takes a lot of time, but I believe that you would be a great, community maker in your country. Like you have the energy and passion for that. So that's very necessary.
Amen to that. And also that's the bigger goal for me, literally. Indonesia. Because I really wanted to
Yeah.
I really wanted the Indonesian makers here together because I don't really know so many makers too that I think I knew a few, just like some of the makers here in Indonesia, and literally because of the market that I did last week, 2 weeks ago. Like so I'm beginning to just like kind of like by talking to you like this, I think it motivates me a lot from your point of view just now, like literally talking about community. It's hard, right? Making clay, doing creating stuff, and then creating art, and then also I need to like think about like what to do to like literally create a community here, like in a very genuine way, like introducing the clay, introducing the material, what you love about it, and things like that. So yeah, I'm getting there.
From my side of view, it was very important for me to balance my own name in that because I didn't want to be the main one, because I felt like that suddenly there will not be that much place for the artist that we present. So that's why the Polymer Week, that's why the name, because we were like in the beginning, should it be like Lucy Stronsa magazine or something, but that would be too selfish and too much. But also, let's say Martha Stewart, if you know her in USA, she's like the goddess of DIY and
The
everything.
goddess.
She does it in a different way. She has her name everywhere. But for me, I felt like if I want to do a community, I need to be open to everyone. I need to be able to collaborate with any company and the artists, to be like really honest and open in that, because suddenly if I make a deal with someone, for example, suddenly it doesn't feel that honest, I believe. And the way that we do the Polymer Week is that we explore the social media, the internet, and we just find talented people, and then we figure out how to collaborate with them, what to write about them, what is their story, what should be published, what is their artwork. So in that way, sometimes it's a bit tricky. Like it's all about a balance, I believe. Like suddenly it's not just about you, but it's about the teamwork and the people you are writing and talking about.
Sure.
So speaking of the community, do you have some sort of ideas how would you do that in your country to make the community and start somewhere?
Basically, I thought about this all years. I think in the past 1.5 years, because when my idea, my original idea, came to the surface of like the Polymer clay scene, I started getting like inquiries about like doing like workshops and things like that, like online. Mostly like makers around the world, or like people who love the material ask me like, why don't you make online courses or things like that. So I haven't even have the courage, to do it yet, because the things about my work is a very intricate thing. It's a very detailed thing, and there's so many layers. There's so many kind of like keywords or like skills that you need to kind of like get to reach that. And I think for me right now, I'm planning to kind of like I'm planning it like about doing like online courses and offline courses. So I think there was this one of the steps that I want to do first to begin like this community in Indonesia about Polymer clay. And I think from there on, meeting a lot of people here who love the material, who are curious about the material, because I love to meet new people. I love to make friends. I love to just talk, or something that I'm passionate about, which is like Polymer clay. And so by doing that, I think that will help to create a genuine community that who loves polymer clay. So I think that was my biggest step that I need to do for now.
Do you think that the combination, as you said, with something that is based online and something that is based real life and face to face is still important, or would you prefer, let's say, one of them? Or how do you think about it when it comes to, we are in 2023 and suddenly a lot of things are online, but still, if you do just online things, you kind of miss the face to face interaction with someone, physical interaction with classes.
I was thinking about that too. I think with online, it's still a big thing to do. I think for now, but of course, meeting face to face with people will help much better in terms of like the genuine communication, talking about it and literally showing it like to people, because most of people don't know how how long the process is literally to make my creations, like literally my art creation. So I think that was the kind of like the thing that I want to kind of introduce people literally by doing offline workshop here in Indonesia, and to kind of like getting the idea of the people here, like how hard it is to like create this piece, for example, and why it matters to literally appreciate the process and appreciate the art. And I think because of the most of Indonesians are, I think most people that I know haven't like appreciate that art that much. That is something that I want to kind of advocate here, like supporting local brands here too, like supporting a lot of local meat. So in terms of in offline workshop platform, I think it helps to boost the idea of like or appreciating the art more, because it's kind of like the one of the biggest challenges for all makers. I think for all makers in any kind of field in Indonesia. So I think offline workshop will be the best thing that we need to do, and I need to do first to literally help with the goal that I want to reach.
And you said an important thing, that it's pretty difficult sometimes to explain to someone how much time you spend and devoted into a small piece of artwork. So what is usually the reaction, let's say, of your customers or your family when they look at your work and they are like, yeah, lovely, but the pressure and the hours that went to just make that piece?
So this is something that I kind of experienced, because this is my first time, like I'm 29. I've been doing this like since I was like 26. So it's been 3 years, right? Almost 3 years. And last year was my first time, having such a difficult moment about myself as a maker, like as an artist, as a polymer clay maker. Doing this nonstop, when I first started, and then doing this nonstop began to take a toll on me, as an artist, like having burnouts and depressed about like what to do next, because I've always wanted to reach that level, like the level of like, yeah, as an artist, you want to reach some levels in your career, right? So I always try to pursue something different, what to do next, and try to innovate, and it becomes something that it made me more it made me stress out, like the burnout was like real for me last year. So I learned a lot because of the process that I had. So, I embrace all of the process, good or bad. But like doing polymer clay, has matured me too as an artist, as a human being too. So I literally want people to like literally try this material, or literally for beginners out there who really want to try polymer clay. I think they need to do it to just like embrace your life, because this is something that is just I'm passionate about, and I'm really grateful that I could like talk to you about this, because this is something Yeah, I've been keeping, a lot of things that I said so far. Like this is, I've been kept hidden into like my body, my soul, my mind. So it's such an amazing thing that I can talk about this. All of this matters about polymer.
Yeah, I think a lot of artists can relate that sometimes it's difficult to find the right person who could really understand what you are talking about.
Yeah.
And even though your family and friends around, they are trying, they are not in the very same position. So sometimes it's a bit tricky
Yeah.
to get the understanding from the other
Yeah.
side.
And
Yeah,
literally, if my
definitely.
first time I literally created my first piece, even I think it was a travel series, and I think it was London, and London has like so many like details in it, right? I think I just showed it to my sister, my little sister, and then like she said, "Oh, wow, this is like so good." I think my skill wasn't like that crazy or things like that. I was still improving, you know. I'm still improving right now too. And literally, when I showed it to my mom, she just said, "Oh, that's good." That's good. That's it. My mom just said that. Like that's one sentence. Because, as like my mom and my dad, they aren't just like business minded people. They're just though they are not into like artsy stuff. I think I'm the only my aunt just said that I think I'm the only one in my family who does art. Like literally. Yeah. So but they're more appreciative because in the past years, almost 3 years doing this, they've seen like me just like sitting down in the studio, crafting all day. I think there was one time that I just sacrificed my weekends to just like craft and then like doing all of my custom orders. So they knew like how hard it is, the process. So they're kind of they're appreciative of what I'm doing right now. So it's still a process for me to just like show it to them step by step. So I'm excited for them to just like wanting to get to know what I'm doing or like this material because they don't really know basically. They just see like, oh, what you're doing is like so intricate, but they just don't know how can you make that?
You reminded me of my early memories when I found polymer clay, and my parents were not very happy about it because they saw me spending a lot of their money on blocks of clay and the results were awful. So it took a few years until it kind of became representative and nice, the artwork itself. And I was a little child, so that was funny. But also, as you said, that right now your parents can appreciate it. Do you think, if we can be that personal, that there is some sort of, I don't know, maybe a level because suddenly your hobby became a business or something that you can make your money from? I had the same experience, like until it became real for the adult world. Until that, it was just like, yeah, she's doing this or that. But suddenly, when there was like the idea or option, or I was making my first money, everyone was like, wow, that's so cool and you're talented and everything. But until that, it was not very, regular, that experience.
So it was real for me because I didn't expect anything when I tried to innovate what you see right now from my work, my masterpieces in like my brand's page ANDSEE. It was, the beginning was just like my urgency when you create when you want to create something amazing, because it was the coffee season, right? And as at first I just didn't have an expectation of like, oh, I can make a living out of this. And because I just did it and posted it without thinking about anything, it's like it was just like the intention of like you just post it as you showcase your artwork that you want the world to see. But I didn't expect that people will buy my product, like my art, at first. I didn't expect to, like I would do custom orders because most people most of my customers around the world, like literally they order my customs, because it's very special, because I can recreate any photos of their, for example, like travel moments or their very special moments in their lives, and I make them into wearable art. They felt the uniqueness of my products, and I feel I'm really touched of my first ever client. It was not from Indonesia. She was from Norway even. Like she found me through Instagram only, and I felt like, wow, like I've never, because she said, like, the shipping fee, the shipping fee from Indonesia to, like, for example, like Europe, it was like expensive, and I asked her, like, are you okay with the shipping fee, like, literally, because, like, this is my first, even, like, my custom ever. It was so touching for me, because as an artist, I just felt the first time of feeling like, oh, I'm an artist, so it was very touching for me, and I'm really grateful for her, because, like, my custom even, like, got bigger at the time. So that's why I told you, like, 2 years of, like, nonstop of, like, doing it, doing customs. And yeah, it was very touching for me, like, my first experience of, like, doing customs for people.
Yeah, it brings you the happiness that someone else is interested in the commission, having you making their memories and physically kind of express that in a way that they can wear it somewhere, right? Like as a story. Yeah. So how is it now with your customers and with your audience? Because you have a wide audience on social media. So do you know, for example, where those people are from or who are your main customers?
Yeah. I'm grateful for all the people who are into my art, who follows my art page, like, on ANDSEE Studios page. The three top most of my clients customers are from Singapore, like, and then, like, Australia and America. I just feel the polymer clay scene are already big in those countries. So people who are into, like, maybe they collect, like, polymer clay earrings, they wanted something different, because my art is very weird and quick in some way, and very intricate too. There's always a moment that you want to stop, but those messages, like, those messages, like, literally motivates me a lot, because there are a lot of moments for me to stop, but I haven't. And see, it's like my personal diary in a wearable form. We're using polymer clay because I really love to share people's stories too from around the world. For example, by doing their customs, I've always asked them, like, what's the backstory of your custom? What do you want to why do you want to make this? And there are a lot of the touching moments, like, for example, they want to gift it to their wife. A lot of husbands, a lot of husbands contacted me to just, like, they want to give this to their wife, and or they want to create, like, something out of their lovely pets, for example, or, like, their engagement, things like that. So it makes me, like, passionate about, like, telling people stories through my work with polymer clay. And I think this kind of, like, I think one of a few clients of mine say that to me. I think they said, like, my art touches their heart or their deep memories about in their lives. So yeah, that keeps me going too as an artist, even though it's hard.
Your way of art, as you said, is very personal. And in the beginning, it was mainly about you. But you just explain how you can touch other people's lives or hearts. And you are basically expressing their memories through your art. But yet it's still very personal of you. And the style is very clear. So that's a beautiful thing. But as you said, that everyone sometimes wants to stop. And especially being an artist, it's very helpful to get that sort of recognition or just a lovely message from someone, because it keeps you going. What are you doing during those days when there is nothing like that, when there is no message, no recognition, and you just feel pretty bad and you feel like quitting just now? What are you doing in those moments to change that situation and keep going?
I feel my family is the first thing that I go to, like talking to them, even if it's my aunt who doesn't know art at all. I've always just like talk about everything with my mom or my dad or my brother, my sister, a lot of my families, and with my friends who kind of in a similar field with mine, for example, like does design or things like that. It's really helping me to get my motivation going too, and also doing like offline markets, like what I did a few weeks ago, like two weeks ago, like literally helped me to get my motivation back, because I was craving to meet people, because I do everything by myself, right, all this time, and
It can get lonely.
people don't know that I do work alone, because it's still a struggle for me to literally um I want to create a team for sure. I want to create a team that I need to kind of like plan it out well first, because this is something that I really adore and really cherish everything that I do. So literally that's kind of like the thing that I want to kind of do, like create a team and becomes not lonely anymore as an artist. But it's still a process for me to do that. It's still a long way to go, but I'm getting there. And literally, yeah, I think friends, family, and meeting people by doing offline markets or talking to the polymer, like to the makers from the polymer glazing, or maybe other fields as well. For example, mm, it helps me a lot to get my motivation back, because there was like one time I talked with this amazing woman, like an artist too in Indonesia, and she's struggling too as an artist. She's a jeweler, like she's doing like beads and diamonds, things like that in Indonesia. And it got my motivation back talking to her, listening to her stories, like her struggles during the pandemic season, during COVID. And this is something that you need to surpass to literally know where you want to go. And I think to take a step back too is fine, because I was like in the mindset of uh like I need to keep going. I need to keep going. I need to create something without breaks. And I was like that for those full 2 years. And I think I became I got burned out last year because of that too. I think by having a lot of like discussions about art in general helped me a lot to keep going too. And literally talking with you like this, it gets my motivation a lot more too. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you for being, very open and honest, because I believe that artists in general, if there is someone else on the other side who they can relate to with those struggles and up and downs, it's somehow helpful to keep going.
For sure.
Because suddenly you realize that it's not just you who is struggling with something. And definitely, as you said, that it's super lonely. I couldn't agree more. Like sometimes I just feel so lonely just by working on my computer or playing or something. So these kind of conversations are beautiful to me as well and very helpful. And it's exciting to meet others who are doing different things, but perhaps are having the same issues that you can somehow overcome together.
Yeah, it's really like a work in a process,
Yeah. What would be your last advice for makers who would love to be maybe independent when it comes to art, and they perhaps are working with polymer clay or other materials just for a few months or years, and would love to become, just independent when it comes to this business and the artwork itself?
Don't get too comfortable. I think this is the main lesson that I've learned doing this, because if you get too comfortable with it, you won't even have the need to the crave, to create art. And I think you have to experience more things. For example, travel somewhere, go somewhere, meeting a lot of people with different backgrounds or personalities, or do something that is just that you've never done before, or because life is so life is you can experience so much, just by doing that, and literally talking with a lot of people in the similar backgrounds or other backgrounds or other fields will help you a lot, or things like that. But literally don't get too comfortable, because that was kind of like the biggest lesson that I've learned as an artist, as a polymer clay maker. And it got me thinking of like doing something a little bit different. Never stop of like innovating, because that's like the main struggle of like the artists here. I mean, like in Indonesia, or people who want to start in a business like this. They don't have the courage. And I think I speak in behalf of a lot of makers here in Indonesia. I want people to get, I think, people to get to start to innovate, to not following the trend, but do something a little bit crazy, because you only live once, and I think by doing this, you won't know what the outcome is. Don't get too comfortable, and also do something crazy once in your life.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being part of the Polymer podcast. I hope that a lot of our listeners will find some inspiration in your
Hope
words.
so.
I'm sure they will. And I cannot wait to see your next creation. And I hope that one day we'll be able to meet in person, because I believe that will be awesome.
Oh, sure. Of course.
Thank you.
I hope we can meet in the future too, talking about
Yeah.
polymer clay. Thank you so much, Lucy.